What's good with everybody, bro? This is SB Cash back with another edition of We Want All the Smoke Sports Talk, your weekly sports guide. Yeah. Tell y'all like it like every week. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, what's been going on? It ain't too much on the NBA front. We ain't gonna talk about NBA. That's next month. It's going down in the NBA. We all know that. NCAA, not too much going on. A lot of non-conference games been happening. So everybody sticking true to their shit right now. Top 10 still holds Utah, Florida, Auburn, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, and Clemson. So yeah, let's get to this middle part of the season and see. I'm ready to see the interesting games and see it be shook up a little bit, that top 10. So that's what's going on in college. But what everybody been waiting to talk about, this week 2 action, man. Week 2 NFL, man, is going down. It's back in effect. I can't believe it's already week 3. We waited so long in the off season. It's already week 3, man. But yeah, a lot of action going on, man. A lot of teams going through different things in different phases of an early season. It's only week 2, man. So we're just gonna talk about it. Thursday night game. Who did we have? We had the Buccaneers versus the Panthers. Buccaneers win 20-14. Jameson Winston played good in this game. 16 for 25, 208 yards, 1 touchdown. Peyton Barber had 23 carries for 82 yards, 1 touchdown. Chris Goodwin 8 receptions, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. So him and Jameis Winston really connected good. And I want to know, Jameis Winston was really decisive with his passes in this game. He did a great job, actually. Shaquille Barrett for the Bucks D had 3 sacks. So they had an all-around great defensive performance. Talk about the Panthers a little bit. Cam Newton, 25 for 51, 333 yards passing, 0 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey couldn't get much at all on the ground. It was crazy. 16 carries, 37 yards, 0 touchdowns. We're used to him taking off every week, whether it's receiving or rushing. He couldn't do it this week. Greg Olsen did have 6 catches for 110 yards, but no touchdowns. So the Panthers lose that game. Cam looks like he's not healthy, like he's still kind of injured, man. Cam doesn't look like the Cam we're all used to. So that's something to keep an eye on in Carolina. Next game, Cardinals versus Ravens. Ravens win this 23-17. Lamar Jackson having a great first 2 weeks of the season. 24 for 37, 272 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 16 carries, 120 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson going crazy. The tight end, Mark Andrews, 8 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. So he hooked up with him. And they're cooking out there in Baltimore, man. Talk about the Cardinals a little bit. They did come back in this game, made it interesting, but they couldn't pull it off. Kyler Murray, 25 for 40, 349 yards passing, no touchdowns. Basically had no run game at all. 20 yards rushing is what they had in the game total. Christian Kirk won 6 catches, 114 yards. Larry Fitzgerald, 5 catches, 104 yards. So they both have big games, but the Cardinals come up short. Next game, Chargers versus Lions. Lions win this 13-10. In a game where Matthew Stafford threw for 245 yards on 22 for 30 passing with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. They didn't have much running the ball, but Kenny Golladay did have 8 receptions for 117 yards, 1 touchdown. So he ate. Kerryon Johnson got in for a touchdown. And the Detroit defense holds strong for the win. Chargers, on the other hand, Phillip Rivers, 21 for 36, 293 yards passing, no touchdowns, and he did have the pick. So he had a turnover. Austin Elker, 17 carries, 66 yards for a touchdown. So not much rushing, but he did have a touchdown. Keenan Allen, 8 receptions, 98 yards. He did his thing. But I want to note, the Los Angeles Chargers had no second half points. So the Lions win this game, and the Chargers score no second half points. So yeah, 13-10 Lions. Next game, Colts versus Titans. Colts win this 19-17 in a game where Jacoby Brissett was pretty good, man. 17 for 28, 146 yards passing. Not much passing, but he had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Marlon Mack, real different week from week 1. Week 1, he had a big week. This week, 20 carries, 51 yards, no touchdowns. So, real different week for Marlon Mack. T.Y. Hilton, Eric Ebron, and the youngster from Ohio State, Paris Campbell, all scored a touchdown in this game for the Colts, though. Talk about the Titans, man, coming off that big win on the Browns, man. Disappointed me, man. I really thought they was going to win this game. Marcus Mariota, 19 for 28, 154 yards passing, 1 touchdown, no picks. Derrick Henry, 15 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown. And receiving-wise, with the highest receptions and yards on the team, we have Delaney Walker with 4 catches, 39 yards, which is highest on the team. Both. So, yeah, that pretty much describes that. Close game, though. Next game, a blowout, right? 49ers versus Bengals. 49ers 41, Bengals 17. Yeah, it got crazy in this one. Jimmy Garoppolo, 17 for 25, 297 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Yes, sir. The key to this game was their rushing offense. Matt Breida, 12 carries, 121 yards. Jeffrey Wilson, 2 rushing touchdowns. And the 49ers rushing offense on the day, 259 yards rushing. Let me say that again. 49ers against the Bengals, 259 yards rushing. So shout out to the 49ers. Bengals on the other hand, man, oh, they look bad, man. Andy Dalton, 26 for 42, 311 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. So he had the turnover. They really didn't have much yard rushing at all. They had 25 yards rushing. Tyler Boyd had a big day, 10 catches, 122 yards, no touchdowns. John Ross, 4 receptions, 112 yards. So I do like what John Ross is doing, though. He looked like he's being what they wanted him to be. But Bengals lose bad. Next game, Jaguars versus Texans. And the Texans win this 13-12. Close game. Deshaun Watson, 16 for 29, 159 yards passing. He didn't throw for any touchdowns, but he did run for 1. They've been giving the ball to Carlos Hyde a lot. Carlos Hyde, 20 carries, 90 yards. Yeah. So, feed Hyde. Seems like that's what they're doing in Texas. With the Texans. Hopkins, a little different week from week 1. Had 5 receptions for 40 yards. So, not like week 1, real different. But they do get the win by 1. Their defense runs away with 4 sacks. And they win in a defensive battle. Jaguars, on the other hand, a lot going on in Jacksonville. I know y'all have all seen it. Backup Gardner Minshew. Well, he's the starter now, so I shouldn't say backup. Gardner Minshew, 23 for 33, 213 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He did have 6 carries for 56 yards. DJ Chark got in for a touchdown. But the big story in Jacksonville is Jalen Ramsey. Seems like he got into it with one of the coaches on the sideline during the game, and he's demanding a trade. So y'all all know how big that is. He's one of the best corners in the league. Jalen Ramsey wants out of Jacksonville. So it's interesting to see how that shit will. Not just to see how it all will shape up. You know what I mean? So yeah, next game. Vikings versus Packers. Packers win this 21-16 in a game where Aaron Rodgers went 22 for 34, 209 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Aaron Jones, 8, 23 carries, 116 yards, 1 touchdown. Devontae Adams, 7 receptions, 106 yards. Other hand, we got Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. They lost. Kirk Cousins, 14 for 32, 230 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Turnovers, man. 2 turnovers. That was big. Dalvin Cook did do his thing. He's been doing his thing over these last 2 weeks. He had 20 carries for 154 yards, 1 touchdown. And Stephon Diggs did get in for a touchdown. But the Vikings started this game slow. Packers jumped out to that big lead. And despite the Vikings trying to make that comeback, they lose 21-16. Just to note, the Packers did not score at all in the second half. So they scored 21 in the first half and win the game like that. 21-16. Next game, Cowboys versus Redskins. Cowboys 31, Redskins 21. Yes, Dak looking good again. Another week 2, Dak has looked good. Dak Prescott, 26 for 30, 269 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Dak looking good. Ezekiel Elliott, like to see him get involved this week. 23 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. You know what I mean? You know how Zeke get. Devin Smith, Amari Cooper, and Jason Witten all scored touchdowns for the Cowboys. Cowboys offense rolled. Redskins, on the other hand, Case Keenum, 26 for 37, 221 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. They only got 48 yards rushing, so AP got the early touchdown rushing. And they didn't really have much after that. I do want to note Terry McLaurin, the youngster from Ohio State, did get in for another one. Paul Richardson got in 1 for 2 for the Redskins, but they dropped to 0-2. Next game, Seahawks versus Steelers. Seahawks 28, Steelers 26. Russell Wilson went crazy in this game. 29 for 35, 300 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Russell Wilson getting to it early, you know what I'm talking about? Rashard Penny, Chris Carson, both combined for 122 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. Will Beasley, the tight end, got involved with 2 touchdowns. And big DJ Metcalf, yes, my guy. I like that pick that Seattle got. Big DJ Metcalf, 3 catches, 61 yards, 1 touchdown at the end. So it looks like everything working out for Seattle as they go 2-0. Steelers on the other end, a lot going on in Pittsburgh, man. Ben Roethlisberger got hurt in this game. Mason Rudolph, 12 for 19, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He kept this thing close. You know, every time it looked like the Seahawks wanted to pull away, it looked like, Mason kept this close. James Conner, I want to see more from him. These last 2 weeks have been pretty bad from him. He did have 11 carries, 33 yards, 1 touchdown, but I want to see more from James Conner. He's a very talented player, and I know he can do more. Vance McDonald has 2 touchdowns for the Steelers, but the big thing, Ben Roethlisberger hurt, out for the season. Mason Rudolph is a starter now, so a lot of stuff going on in Pittsburgh. Big shakeup. Next game, Bills versus Giants. Bills 28, Giants 14. Surprised me, too, because I thought New York was going to win this game. But Jared Allen, 19 for 30, 253 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 carries, 21 yards, 1 touchdown. So Jared Allen doing his usual touchdown on the ground like he do every week. I say it. He get one on the ground every week, Jared Allen. Watch for that for the Bills. So the Bills get 3 rushing touchdowns, and their D comes away with 2 picks. So, yeah, they win that game 28-14. Giants, a lot to talk about in New York. Eli Manning was 26 for 45, 250 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, 2 turnovers. Saquon Barkley, 18 carries, 107 yards, 1 touchdown, so he did his thing. T.J. Jones is the one that got the touchdown from New York. But the big story in New York is Eli is out. It is now Daniel Jones' job. And that's big. Everybody know Eli been the man out there for a long time. It's over. Streak ends. It's time for Daniel Jones. I'm happy for it. I'm happy for the Giants. It's time to see. It's a new day, man. It's a new day. He gonna energize the fans. That's all they need. They need some energy out there. Shout out to New York, even though they lost. Next game, Patriots versus Dolphins. Patriots. Oh God. 43. Dolphins 0. Yeah, it's not much to talk about here. Tom Brady, 20 for 28, 264 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Sony Michel, 21 carries, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. And yes, Antonio Brown, 4 receptions, 56 yards with the big touchdown. Didn't have much to say after the game. Matter of fact, he didn't have nothing to say because he was nowhere to be found. But yeah, Patriots defense, 4 picks. Dominant in this game, man. Shut the Dolphins out as they should. Not much to talk about on the Dolphins front. Ryan Fitzpatrick, 11 for 21, 89 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. They did end up putting Josh Rosen in. He threw a pick too. So Miami's on the way to that first pick. Next game. Chiefs versus Raiders. Chiefs 28, Raiders 10, man. Thought the Raiders was going to put up a better effort, but it is the Chiefs. We all knew that. Patrick Mahomes, oh my God. 30 for 44, 443 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He trying to win 2-time. Didn't have much rushing at all. The team didn't. 32 yards rushing for the Chiefs. But DeMarcus Robinson, 6 catches, 172 yards, 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, 7 catches, 107 yards, 1 touchdown. So getting it done in the air, not on the ground. Derek Carr, on the other hand, 23 for 38, 198 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. You already know turnovers can't do it. Joshua Jacobs did have 12 carries for 99 yards. Would like to see him get 100. No touchdowns, though. Tyrell Williams did get in the end zone for the Raiders, but they have a bad showing in week 2. Next game, Saints versus Rams. A lot to talk about in this game. You already know Rams, my boys. Rams win 27, Saints 9. In a crazy kind of game that I really feel like I can't talk too much smack about. because of what happened. But I do still feel good about because we went to 2-0, you know what I mean? Rams, Jared Goff, 19 for 28, 283 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He started off shaky in this game a little bit like he did the whole week last week, but he ended up getting sharp in the second half of that game. Jared Goff turned it on, and I think it's going to be good from here out. Todd Gurley had 16 carries for 63 yards, 1 touchdown. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches, 120 yards. No touchdowns, though, but Brandon Cooks did get the 1 touchdown. So my Rams put on a good show. Saints, on the other hand, it was crazy to see Drew Brees had got injured. Drew Brees gets injured. He's going to be gone for 6 weeks. So it made the game real different. Teddy Bridgewater steps in, 17 for 30, 165 yards passing, 0 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara's 13 carries, 45 yards rushing. He really couldn't do much on the ground. Michael Thomas did have 10 catches, but for 89 yards and 0 touchdowns. So even though he got his catches, Rams do hold him to under 100 yards and without a touchdown. So big thing in that game, Drew Brees out for the next 6 weeks. Teddy Bridgewater is the guy in New Orleans. Next game, Bears versus Broncos. Bears win this at the last minute, 16-14 on a field goal. Mitchell Trubisky, 16 for 27, 120 yards, no touchdowns. David Montgomery had 18 carries for 62 yards and 1 touchdown. Allen Robinson had 4 catches for 41 yards. They win that on the last-second field goal. Happy for them for that. I know all Chicago fans is happy about them winning on that field goal. Joe Flacco, on the other hand, for the Broncos, in a losing effort, they were close, though, in a defensive game. But Joe Flacco, 35 for 50, threw the ball a lot. 292 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He did have the 1 pick. They were held under 100 yards rushing in the game. The Broncos were. Emmanuel Sanders did have 11 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. But the Broncos had 0 sacks. No pressure. So, yeah. To the next game. Eagles versus Falcons in the late-night Sunday game. Falcons take this 24-20. Matt Ryan 27 for 43, 320 yards, passing, 3 touchdowns, but he had 3 picks. So he had 3 touchdowns and he had 3 picks. Team rushing was around 60 yards. They had about 60 yards rushing on the ground. Julio Jones, 5 receptions, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley, 8 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. So they always look good passing. They've always had a scary passing attack. But their defense, note to the Falcons defense, comes away with 3 sacks, 2 picks. Big defensive game for the Falcons. Eagles, other hand, go to 1-1. Carson Wentz, 25 for 43. 231 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had the 2 early interceptions in the first half. Team rushing was about 50 yards, man. They really didn't do too much rushing the ball. Nelson Aguilar did have 8 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown. But Eagles dropped to 1-1 on the season. And in the last game, the Monday night game, we had the Browns versus the Jets. And another crazy one where there's a lot to talk about in New York. Baker Mayfield was 19 for 35. Oh, yeah. Browns win 23-3 against the Jets. Baker Mayfield, 19 for 35, 325 yards.